Welcome back to March Madness Analysis, another Monday of weekly rankings. The AP poll came out this morning, and I was more than confused. There were a couple things that I'm going to start off with that just completely shocked me. Let's see. Illinois, that was my number one. Illinois was ranked 18th in this week's AP poll, and it just baffles me. They have 3 losses, all to relatively decent teams. You have Baylor, who's obviously the second in the country, Missouri, who's on the rise, and Rutgers, who was right on the edge of the top 25, but with that win, it bumped them up into the top 15. But they have 0 quality wins. They have 3 losses. They had a 2-point win over the Ohio Bobcats, and they are still ranked 18th in the country. Sure, do they have a good team? Sure, but they haven't proven it. They've done nothing to prove that they are a top 20 team, and not even a top 25 team. And I'm going to tell you, I have Illinois at 30. Another one, this one wasn't too big of a deal to me, but Duke is still really high, I think. I still think that there's a lot of teams below Duke right now that have a very good case to be in front of them. Yeah, even I have them at 23, and I still think they're too high. 20th is pretty ridiculous. They have 2 losses to 2 decent teams, but they have a 10-point win over Coppin State that was close throughout the game at home, and their win over Notre Dame wasn't too impressive, and I don't think Notre Dame's a very good team, so I'm not even considering that win a quality win for them at the moment. So I just really don't understand why Duke's 20th in the nation. And Texas Tech is still 15th in the country. Did they play good teams? Sure, but they've been tested twice, and they've failed both times. The loss against Kansas, they played well, and I don't think they failed, but they didn't win, so I don't know why they are 15th in the country. They also had a poor loss to Houston where they played terrible, so I guess people aren't seeing that. I think they played well against Kansas, but they've been tested twice and failed twice and have no quality wins, so I don't understand why they're 15th in the country. And Ohio State is still 23rd in the country. They were a bubble team, bubble of the top 25 last week and the week before, and they lost to Purdue, and they had a 7-point win over Cleveland State. So I just don't understand. They don't have, the only quality win they have is against UCLA, who I think they've proven that they're pretty overrated. And then they lost to Purdue. And if they're saying Purdue was an okay loss, and Purdue's a really good team, then that's fine. If you want to put them in the rankings, sure, I'll keep Ohio State there. But Purdue got 9 votes, and they have 2 losses to a healthy Miami team and a ranked Clemson team. So I didn't understand Ohio State. Ohio State, Texas Tech, Illinois, and Duke were the 4 that I just really did not understand. But now we'll get into the rankings. Starting at the top half of the top 25, we pretty much agreed with for the most part. Gonzaga, Baylor, Kansas, Iowa. Obviously, Michigan State lost and Iowa lost. So a little bit of movement in the top 10 there. I think a question for the AP was where to put Iowa. So Iowa lost to the best team in the country. Kansas lost to the best team in the country. West Virginia lost to the best team in the country. So where do you put those 3 teams in the top 10? So I think you got to put Kansas at 3, and that is because I think Kansas and Iowa are neck and neck right now, but the thing that bumps Kansas ahead of Iowa is the quality wins. They have more quality wins than Iowa. West Virginia has mediocre quality wins, so they're certainly in the top 10 and high in the top 10, but I have them at 6, below Kansas and Iowa. I have Houston ahead of them. Villanova just down a little bit. They haven't really proven to me that they're a top 5 team just yet. They haven't really played anyone great. Let's see, Tennessee, we're even with Tennessee at 8. I think personally Colorado was a good win for them. So some people argue that Tennessee is too high. I think Tennessee is in a good spot. I think Colorado was a good win. Colorado's an underrated team, and I think they had a couple of votes to be in the top 25. Wisconsin's there. Wisconsin and Texas just flip-flopped. Rutgers, huge win against Illinois. But then again, how big of a win is it against Illinois? If Illinois proves to be maybe like a bubble team, then is that a great win for them? Who knows? But right now, Rutgers is undefeated with a quality win, so they're at 11. Michigan State, there's some controversy with where to put Michigan State, but I think 12 is an appropriate spot. Some teams like Iowa lost this week, but they lost to the best team in the country. Michigan State lost to Northwestern, and Northwestern's a bottom half Big Ten team for sure, and they're in the deep bottom half. I think I had them ranked last in the Big Ten. Virginia's still up there. Creighton dropped a little bit with their loss, but I think Creighton played well, and I think they actually earned my respect, so I'm going to keep them in the top 15. Missouri, continuing to win, continuing to move up. I have them at 16. AP has them at 14, so we're cooperable there. Texas Tech, we've already talked about. North Carolina at 17, or North Carolina at 19. Win over Kentucky, helped them a little bit, bumped them into the top 25 with some help from other teams in the top 25 losing. But then again, how big of a win is that game over Kentucky? Because Kentucky's not playing well. They're 1-5, I think, so who knows? Richmond jumped back into the top 25, and I really don't think they should have left the top 25 in my opinion. I think that was a bad move by my part. Florida State lost, but I'm not going to knock them down too much because they do have quality wins. They have proven that they're a top 20 team. I'm going to keep them at 17 for now. Same with San Diego State. They lost, but that's a pretty good and underrated BYU team. Their only 2 losses were to pretty solid teams. I believe Clemson, not Clemson, Boise State, and another decent team. Let's see. Michigan's moving up. Big win over Penn State. We've talked about Duke. Xavier's moving up. Xavier's undefeated. Big win. Big buzzer beater win. Clemson bumped into my rankings. They're still playing well. They're going to need a couple more wins to boost them up a little bit and keep them in the top 25. St. Louis lost, so they're going to drop down a little bit. But that's a pretty good and underrated Minnesota team. I certainly underrated them. Marcus Carr is a fantastic player. Minnesota's actually 37th in my rankings. Virginia Tech and Oregon are in the AP pool and not in my pool. Virginia Tech's not quite there yet, and I still think they're overrated. I don't think Virginia Tech's going to stay in the top 25 for too much longer. And Oregon might bump up into there, but they haven't proven it yet. So once they prove it, they'll be up. I currently have Oregon at 28. So some other teams in consideration. We've talked about Texas Tech. Arkansas, undefeated. I have them at 27. Florida, we've talked about Illinois, Ohio State. Indiana's right there. UConn had a fantastic game against Creighton. James Buchnight had a fantastic game, 40 points, and their tight loss to a solid Creighton team. LSU is still in consideration. BYU, a couple real quality wins. Purdue, same thing. Minnesota, same thing. UCF, same thing. They have 2 wins over 2 Power 5 teams. And Virginia Tech and UCLA. So no fan questions today, didn't get to it, and you'll have fan questions tomorrow, and then I will have another rankings coming to you next Monday.